Southwest plane diverts after a crack appears in the window. Another week, another window issue for Southwest. A Southwest Airlines flight flying from Chicago to Newark on Wednesday morning diverted to Cleveland because of a window crack. The twin-engine Boeing 737 carrying 73 passengers took off from Chicago's Midway International Airport at 9:53 a.m. and descended to 33,000 feet over 20 minutes. According to passenger Linda Hawley, a loud noise was then heard and a large crack appeared in a window. There was no depressurization of the cabin, so oxygen masks were not deployed. The plane then diverted to Cleveland Hopkins International Airport and landed at 10:46 a.m. The aircraft has been taken out of service as investigators try and figure out the cause of the incident. Southwest hasn't been having the best of luck lately. On April 17th, Southwest Flight 1380 was forced to make an emergency landing after an engine blew apart mid-flight, killing one passenger. Look up and keep watching. Woman is almost sucked out of a plane window after engine explosion. A mid-flight engine explosion at 32,000 feet on Tuesday led to chaos over the skies of Philadelphia. According to the New York Times, Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 was en route to Dallas from New York when one of its two engines exploded mid-flight. The Boeing 737 aircraft was reportedly carrying 143 passengers and 5 crew at the time. It later emergency landed in Philadelphia. Shrapnel from the explosion shattered a plane window. The Chicago Tribune reports the sudden decompression in the cabin caused passenger Jennifer Reardon to be partially pulled through the window. Here's the window Reardon almost went through, and the wrecked engine after the plane landed. A passenger later told the New York Times Reardon was also hit by some shrapnel from the damaged plane engine. He explained passengers and crew dragged her back in, but she was unconscious when they did. Reardon later died despite attempts to revive her. According to the Dallas News, Reardon was 43 years old and Vice President of Community Relations at Wells Fargo. The Albuquerque woman was returning from a New York business trip. Meanwhile, fearing he'd never see his loved ones again, passenger Marty Martinez partially live-streamed events from inside the aircraft to Facebook. He also posted several videos and images from inside the plane. Southwest Airlines Chief Executive Gary Kelly sent the airline's condolences to Reardon's family and praised the actions of crew and responders in Philadelphia.
And on behalf of the entire Southwest family, I want to extend my deepest sympathies for the family and the loved ones of our deceased customer.
According to NBC Philadelphia, the National Transportation and Safety Board are investigating the incident as engine failure. That engine, reportedly a CFM56 turbofan, is a common component in many modern aircraft.
Son of Concorde plane prepares to go supersonic. U.S. aircraft maker Aerion has launched a joint engine study with GE Aviation for a supersonic jet that aims to cut flight times between London and New York to just over 4 hours. The Aerion AS-2 plane has a relatively short wingspan and a long fuselage, similar to the design of supersonic fighter jets. The plane's thin wings vastly reduce friction drag when compared to traditional aircraft wings. The AS-2 can reach speeds of Mach 1.5, which is 1.5 times the speed of sound. The supersonic speed means the AS-2 could travel from London to New York in just 4 hours and 24 minutes. Private jet company FlexJet made the first purchase of the AS-2 when it ordered 20 of the aircraft in 2015. Aerion hopes to launch the AS-2 next year, with its first flight scheduled for 2023.
The only way to fly. If you feel like showing everyone how annoyingly rich you are, Emirates has new Mercedes-Benz S-Class inspired first-class private suites for its Boeing 777 aircraft. The new suites will offer up to 40 square feet of space per passenger and floor-to-ceiling sliding doors. And because they really need it, passengers will get a 32-inch HD TV, gourmet dining, mood lighting, and temperature control. The leather seats can recline all the way, be placed in a zero-gravity position, or adjusted into plenty of other custom positions for optimal comfort. Most suites with a window view will be provided with binoculars, while suites in the middle of the cabin have virtual windows which project the view from the outside in real time. Emirates will also offer passengers a complimentary Benz chauffeur to their destination from the airport. The newly designed cabins are set to be introduced into Emirates fleet in December. Spirit Airlines plane spews parts after Detroit takeoff. The FAA is looking into why a Spirit Airlines plane was spewing parts after a Detroit airport takeoff on Monday night. The Spirit flight from D-Town to Hotlanta was forced to return to Detroit Metro Airport after experiencing engine failure. The plane was able to land safely without incident, but unfortunately dumped a bunch of engine pieces into the yards of Detroit residents. The FAA sent investigators to look into what went wrong and to examine the recovered engine parts. The investigation should be concluded in the coming weeks. According to one passenger on the flight, the plane was at about 5,000 feet when there was a large bang that caused the aircraft to shake and shudder. The passenger said the right engine was on fire, sparking, and losing pieces. And here we thought it was just Spirit trying to save money by getting rid of plane engines.
Airbus plane engine falls apart over the Atlantic. An Air France flight en route from Paris to Los Angeles was forced to make a slight detour when one of its engines disintegrated over the Atlantic on Saturday. The Airbus A380 was just east of Greenland carrying 496 passengers and 24 crew members when one of its engines experienced a serious failure. According to passengers, there was a loud boom and then a lot of shaking. Luckily, the fast-acting pilots quickly shut the engine down and were able to stabilize the plane in under 30 seconds. The plane flew for about an hour on 3 engines before arriving at Goose Bay Airport in eastern Canada. 2 777s were eventually sent from Montreal to pick up the passengers and take them the rest of the way to LA. The cause of the engine failure is still unknown and currently being investigated. Bird in cockpit forces Delta flight to turn around. A Hotlanta-bound Delta flight was forced to hang a U-ey after the crew found a bird flying around the cockpit. Before the flight, the pilot happened to see a sparrow board the plane, causing the flight to be delayed as crew and maintenance workers searched for the little feathered fellow. After a delay and an unsuccessful search attempt, the pilot decided to take off. Wouldn't you know it, shortly after the aircraft took off, the sparrow reappeared again in the cockpit, so the pilot decided to turn the plane back around. After getting back to Detroit Metro Airport, crews were finally able to grab the little guy and get him off the plane. In the end, after a considerable delay, the flight eventually made its way down to Atlanta. No word on what airline the sparrow ended up taking.